Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. We are the Hologrumps. I'm Liam.
And I'm Colum.
And we're here today to bring you the review of the latest episode of Star Trek Picard, episode 7, titled Nepenthe. Now, this episode was written by Samantha Humphrey and Michael Chabon and directed by Doug Arniakowski.
Now, before we get into it, if we could get you to like, subscribe, and comment on our videos, we'd really appreciate it. Helps our channel grow, helps us assimilate more viewers.
Also, for anyone out there that's new to the channel, we also do a live stream after every episode of Star Trek Picard airs, so tune in if you want our raw opinions.
Our instant reactions.
Yes. And before we begin, there will be spoilers, so make sure you've seen the episode. Okay, so we start with our usual cold open. 3 weeks earlier.
It just seems to be a recurring thing for me, that every single time they start an episode, it always has to be in the past at some point. Only this time, as Liam pointed out to me, it's in the past of a previous episode. We just get forced to watch more of a scene.
It does serve to further the plot, albeit superficially, because a new plot thread is introduced and removed all at the same time.
Immediately.
Because we find out Jurati is in fact being tracked, but by the end of the episode, she gets rid of the tracker, leaving poor old Narek lost in space. Oh, in this flashback, mind melds with Jurati, and we get to see perhaps a glimpse of what this great big secret is that the Zhat Vash are keeping.
Destruction. Disgrace.
I wanted to gouge my eyes out.
So, we begin on the HMS Grande, where they're trying to get away from the Borg tractor beam. And, of course, they're doing a terrible job of it. But while they're doing that, Rizzo is interrogating poor old Hugh. She kills all of his Xboxes and leaves Hugh just to cry in the corner. All while Narek gets onto his ship. And the funniest thing is, when he's getting onto the ship, he walks to the front of the ship, realizes, oh no, I have to get in on this side, runs back to the door as if he didn't know how to operate a Romulan fighter, which is a bit surprising. In the end, Rizzo lets the HMS Grande go for sinister reasons, so Narek can follow them, which kind of makes sense. And of course, unfortunately, Elrond is left behind, and the Grande goes to warp.
Cut to opening credits. Now, we may seem a little bit enthusiastic about this episode, and that is because we enjoyed it.
Oh yeah!
Like, we might be ripping the start of it to shreds just a little bit, but we're mainly being sarcastic. It's all in good taste. But no, we did enjoy it, just before we move on, just so everyone out there knows.
Yeah, it was a really good episode.
Well, I wouldn't say
comparatively.
Really good. Comparatively. This was on the scale of Point of Light and New Eden. This was a New Eden episode.
It was almost Star Trek.
Just almost. Picard and Soji arrive on Nepenthe, and they're greeted by Riker and Troy's daughter, Kestra, and she's wielding a bow, furthering the fantasy genre introduced by Elrond. She's out hunting rabbits. Unicorn rabbits.
Bunnycorns.
Bunnycorns. Ooh.
Yeah.
Sounds tasty. Maybe I'll turn them into sausages. Soji finds out that she's an android when Kestra says,
"You're an android."
Yes, because she finds out that she's the daughter of Data, and Kestra's obsessed with Data. She knows everything about him. We get introduced to Counselor Troy, which...
It was really nice. I really enjoyed it. It was a very nice scene. To be honest, any scene with the old characters, it was instantly going to be enjoyable because it just takes me back to my childhood, and I'm like, there's Deanna Troi. I remember watching 7 seasons with her in it. This is great getting to see her again and what she's doing with her life. It was only once I actually saw her that I realized really how bad the acting is in this show. Because the second I saw her, I was like, there she is. That's Deanna Troi. Great actor. This is great fun. I'm loving this. And then I was cutting Soji and I was like, fake tears falling down my eyes, just resting on my eyeballs. Yeah, it just doesn't.
Yeah, generally Soji's go-to faces.
Yeah, and hyperventilating.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime you watch, anytime she gets upset, she hyperventilates. First thing, no matter what.
She's probably the actress. I'd say might be a little bit intimidated to be amongst such stalwarts of the Star Trek genre, and
it doesn't seem to bother Kestra though.
Well, she's so young, I don't know what age she is, but she's so young she might be oblivious to all of this. She doesn't realize the responsibility that's been placed on her. Because I suppose Soji and Daj are playing the daughters of Data or Lore. You never know. So we get introduced to Commander, or Captain, Riker, on leave, and he's listening to jazz as he cooks in the kitchen. I thought it was nice. Riker hasn't lost any of his cool factor.
No,
So,
he just hasn't done the Riker maneuver, unfortunately.
no, there weren't enough chairs in the episode for him to do it on.
Yeah.
But it was a really nice reunion. And when Riker, Picard, and Troy were all in the same room together for the first time, and we got a glimpse of the TNG music, it was the first time in the series I felt like it was earned. Because we keep getting it. It's like, great work, guys. Now let's go to Free Cloud. But this was the first time it felt like it was actually warranted. They should have saved it for this moment, and it would have actually been a lot more poignant.
Now, interestingly enough, Troy says she can't sense any emotions from Soji, but she could actually sense emotions from Data in the episode Descent when Data got the emotion chip. So, don't know if that's just an oversight or it's because it's a different type of emotion chip. But I think, to be honest, more than anything, I think it's just a little oversight.
Yeah, see, because we were wrapped up in the moment and actually enjoying the episode, we did pick up on this, but it wasn't distracting because it's kind of understandable. They needed something to further the fact that she's an android quicker in terms of the episode because we needed that moment for Riker to realize what's going on.
Riker needs to figure it out, yeah.
Yeah, and on second viewing, his figuring it out actually made a lot more sense than it did the first time. But the episode, or these moments as a whole, remind us of what the show could have been. What do you think?
If the show had just been Picard meeting all, even if there was no overlying great villain or great dangerous plot, if it had been Picard going to visit all his friends before he passed away from this syndrome, for example, and saying goodbye to all of them, and every episode being a self-contained moment with this person, it would have been great.
It would have been an interesting character study in Jean-Luc Picard, but it wouldn't even have to just have no plot. You could have had the same storyline, but have Worf and LaForge and other members of the crew with Picard, and then he visits other members. If he had just had at least one person from his past on the ship with him, it would have made the show so much better.
It would have grounded the show in Star Trek reality, I think, a bit more.
Yeah.
But instead, we end up getting these really nice scenes between Kestra and Soji. And it's something we picked up on, that the character or the actor of Soji seems more comfortable acting with the Kestra character. So maybe you were right there, Liam, that, you know, she's just intimidated. Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible.
But it's a great little scene talking about how Data was always aspiring to be human and the things he did. I'm surprised they didn't mention Data trying to whistle or learning to whistle.
Yeah, because Riker, of course, his last fond memory of Data when they're all sharing a toast in Data's memory in Nemesis is he talks about how the first time I met Data, he was in the holodeck trying to whistle this tune, and he can't remember what it is. I think it was Pop Goes the Weasel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a nice touch. We get back aboard the HMS Grande, and I don't really care about talking about this. Stuff happens. Jurati references a Gormagander. Jurati's falling apart, and we're back to Riker's kitchen.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! And it kind of follows up on the finale of Star Trek Enterprise. I know this is kind of a sore point for some people, but Rick Berman and Brannon Braga, of course, came out and they were like, well, you know, we kind of missed the mark on the Enterprise
At least
finale.
they were apologetic.
At least they were apologetic. And I didn't feel like it harmed the show per se. They just missed the mark. It was all with the best of intentions, but it didn't work. But we still have, you know, Riker's Kitchen, a secret episode of The Next Generation. And I feel like they tried to follow up on that with Jonathan Frakes in this episode, constantly cooking.
Making a pizza. The longest pizza ever made.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of discussion about Riker and Troy's deceased son, Thaddeus, who's named after Thaddeus Riker. What was the episode called, Liam? Do you remember? In Voyager, where AQ had actually saved his ancestor?
Yeah, it was the episode Death Wish, where you had one of the Q members of the Q Continuum was trying to commit suicide, and of course Q had to step in to stop this. And in one of the scenes, we see that Q, the other Q, in fact saved Riker's great grandfather, or something really great going back into Civil War. Colonel Thaddeus Riker. So it was a nice reference. It wasn't on the nose. It wasn't obvious. I mean,
we just knew it because the name resonated in my brain for some reason. Yeah. Thaddeus Riker. It just picked up in my brain and I couldn't let go of it, so we had to look it up.
Yeah. But there it was, staring right back at us.
Thaddeus died because of the synth ban, which was a bit...
On the nose.
It's a bit of a bad point. They could have just said he died of a disease or anything, a syndrome. It wasn't too important how, but they tried to tie it into the story and the relevance of having synthetic life being banned. It didn't work, in my opinion, because it felt jarring that they were like, oh, they're invested in this as well emotionally, when they could be invested in it simply because it's Picard involved in it.
Yeah. And it ruined a perfectly good scene between Deanna Troi and Soji, one of the few that we were getting. All of a sudden she's saying, Thaddeus was so special to all of us, and when he left us it was just heart-wrenching, and we really felt the impact in the whole family. How did he die? Well, he had a special syndrome that was easily curable. If he had have... Okay, I'm gone. Scene ruined. Too much detail.
And then, of course, we return back to the Borg Cube, our favourite part. Let's just skip over this. Hugh dies.
There are lots of strobe lights and spotlights. And
I hated them.
Yeah.
It was irrelevant. I hated them. Let's skip over it. Hugh's dead.
Yeah,
he was stabbed in the neck.
Every time we get back aboard the Borg Cube, it just takes us out of it. I remember when we watched it the second time around and we get aboard the Borg Cube, we were like,
I got up and left.
Yeah, I'm going to go on my phone for a little bit here because I'm bored again. I just want to see the characters I love. And thank God they were in it for loads of it. They weren't just cameos. Like
it was at least half an hour of them.
Yeah, like the episode was 59 minutes, so pretty much an hour long, and we had some really good scenes between Riker, Troi, and Picard. And I know some people say, well, it's a shame that they were just there to further the plot of Soji. That was how they'd be weaved into it naturally, and I'm just thankful we got these nice scenes and their characters weren't destroyed.
I'm grateful for what we got.
Yeah.
More than anything. And they weren't heavy-handedly put into it. It's ridiculous how Picard got there, but I'm glad he's there.
Yeah.
Or I'm glad he was there. This is all kind of, the silver lining of the episode, considering the scene after this just has us with Raffi and Jurati talking about cake and vomiting. And
Jurati threw up 3 times in this episode, I think.
Well, okay, 2 times in a seizure.
Seizure with loads of foam coming out.
Yeah, but this, I don't care. Let's go back to Riker, which is nighttime now on Nepenthe, and finally the pizza's cooked. It took all day, and we estimate that a pizza only takes about 7 minutes to cook. So I don't know what the hell.
But we've come up with this great idea in the future. I know it's in our head canon now that in the 24th century they have a device that you can just place any food on. It reads its moisture content and what temperature is ideal for it, and you can just leave it there. So if you're having a dinner party, you make yourself the pizza, put it in the storage, make the chips, put them in storage, etc., etc. And that's what Riker must have been doing.
Yeah, and they stay at the perfect moisture and temperature at all times.
Yeah.
If I could invent that, I'd be a rich man, I think.
Somebody out there invented. But we came up with the idea.
Yeah, it's ours. But anyway, Kestra locates the planet that Soji is from, her home world, thanks to Captain Crunch, or Captain Krendel, who she's been talking about all episode, being this great pirate, this great captain that's older than Picard and has seen every planet and has a ship named the Inside Strait.
Yeah, poker reference.
Yeah.
And he's older than Picard. He's been everywhere. So, could he be
Q?
We already had another Q episode reference with Thaddeus Riker. Could it be?
I feel like it's always a possibility.
Well, Q is always, it's always a possibility for Q to turn up.
Because he's a MacGuffin, so he could just be written into anything, which is nice. Anyway, we go back to the Grande. Let's skip through this. Rios suspects something. He suspects something's not quite right. Maybe they're being followed because of someone. Raffi's been acting strange. Maybe it's her fault. But Jurati has a complete wobbler because she realizes it's her. She injects herself with uranium to get rid of the tracking device. And
uranium fever. Sorry, need to add levity to these moments.
But she injects herself with uranium and has a seizure. The EMH turns on, sees what's happening, goes, oh, bloody hell, puts her in bed and lets her stay in a coma. We find out Elrond finds the Fenris Rangers tag for some reason.
Elrond is in the middle of a cutscene for
Metal Gear Solid.
The new Final Fantasy game.
I don't understand. The editing didn't make it clear where this this scene was. It didn't make it clear where this dog tag was. It was just hanging in the foreground, and it just didn't make sense at all. So I just ignored it. I've forgotten about it. Doesn't matter. We get back to Riker and Picard in the woods, and we get the best scene of them all. It's the best scene by far. It's just them having a conversation about their lives and about what's coming next. And we find out Riker is still active, but retired, but active.
On active reserve.
Yeah, so he could be called back at any time, as long as he combs his beard.
And they do reference the fact that Picard could still go back to Starfleet even at this time, because obviously he has proof and knows a lot more, so he doesn't seem like a crazy old man. And the fact that Riker mentions that he's on active leave at the moment. You know?
Season 2. Yeah.
Please, because we can't take any more of this torture. And look, the other thing is, I've seen YouTubers make comments about this, that, everyone's been too hard in the show. They're saying it's confusing, it's too hard to follow. But the plot is actually very simple, and the YouTuber goes into detail about why the plot is so simple. Look, we know what's going on in the plot. The reason that we mock it and make fun of it at times is because it's boring, and it meanders, and it twists and turns, and the fact that we talk so lightly about things is because we don't care.
We're on a lazy river here. We're just floating down a lazy river, and we're not noticing or enjoying or resonating with anything. This is the first episode I resonated with at all.
And it's meant to be a show that follows up the life of Jean-Luc Picard, so you'd need the characters of his past in there. Picard by himself was part of an ensemble show. A show just based around that one character. It wasn't supposed to happen. Picard wasn't written to be a solo character. He was written to interact with the other members of the Enterprise crew.
Nobody is written to be a solo character. It's very rare that in series you get a character who doesn't know anybody at all, and is just constantly meeting new people. There's always people from their past. And the difficulty with this is the people from Picard's past are all people we don't know.
Yeah, so
we had Raffi. Don't know her.
They're trying to take the approach of introducing characters from his past that we don't know. And what's the point? You have so many rich characters that are already written for you. They've been developed. The audience can go back and get references to them.
It's actually a bit of an oxymoron, having new characters from the past. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it removes the rewatchability of it, because people might go back and watch the old series and be like, well, I wonder what happened to these characters, and then we'll go forward. Because I'd rewatch this episode because they did a good job of developing on the characters that they had. Whereas I don't care about the other episodes. I don't know the past of Raffi, Rios, Jurati, any of these people. I know what the show tells me their past is, but I'm not going to rewatch it because it's not like it's provided some kind of climactic finale to their characters. This show is Star Trek Picard, so these characters are never going to serve anything further than this series. Maybe it'll be in Discovery, but Discovery is garbage. It's a dumpster fire. But the only reason we get so passionate about it like this is because we love Star Trek so much. So this isn't some kind of stupid rant because we're trying to bash
we just
them
like to complain.
Yeah.
I don't like complaining about Star Trek. I just like good Star Trek. I enjoy watching Star Trek. I don't enjoy this at all.
Other than these scenes that we saw in this episode. And if anyone out there, any producers or anything, are taking note, please give us more stuff like this. You have the choice here to give us a terrific show.
And with that, we're going to close it out here. So we've been the Hologrumps. Now, if you like anything you see here, give us a like, subscribe, comment. We always try to reply to comments, any theories, any questions, any queries. And of course, check out our live stream as well, because it is quite interesting. So, we've been the Hologrumps. I've been Colm.
And I've been Liam.
Take care, and remember,
existence is futile.